This is Jackie, and I'm here with Chris of Limbs. We are here at Ram's Head Live on a Tuesday. And you've already performed, so the rest of the day's easy, right?
Yeah, the rest of the night is chill. I get to hang around, shower, eat food, drink beer, whatever.
Nice. I mean, that makes it, I think that kind of helps, hopefully it'll help our conversation. We'll chill out.
Yes.
You guys recently released your debut full-length, Father, Son.
Yeah.
How is the album a reflection of your personal experiences?
Most of the album is about my experiences with the church. It started off as a concept album, and that kind of slowly transformed to further reflect my own personal experiences. I was part of the Christian church for a while, and I kind of drifted away from it and kind of just became not what I was about. And some of this album was written when I was a little angrier, when I was a little bit, more upset with the way things had gone down, and then a lot of it was written more recently when I've had more time to reflect back on the way everything played out in my life and on the things that I did, on the things that other people did. And it was a good cathartic process to kind of get that stuff out and just write about it.
So does it make it easier or more difficult to perform live?
Oh, honestly, I don't really have any difficulty. It's good. It's fun. To me, music is music, playing it's great.
And you stole my next question is it cathartic? Is it energetic? Is it something in between? So it sounds like it's more of a cathartic process, which is awesome. How does it compare to Dead Ends or Admission?
Oh man, you went real far back. I think it's definitely different, and hopefully it shows a little bit that we're kind of moving forward in a couple different ways. I definitely wanted to bring in more influences of bands that I currently listen to, as opposed to stuff that I listened to only when I was 16. And yeah, I hope to continue to do that with writing new music. So yeah.
Excellent. How does your album stand out in a scene that sometimes feels like it's becoming oversaturated?
I'm hoping it stands out in a couple ways. A conscious effort that I made when we were recording in pre-production and when we were actually recording was to try and make everything a little looser, not as perfect. I kind of grew up when the whole metalcore, Joey Sturgis, all these producers just making everything really shiny and pretty and it sounds like they were played perfectly, and I kind of want to move away from that. I drew a lot from Norma Jean because they're one of my favorite bands, and they kind of pioneered the whole we're gonna be messy and we're gonna be loud and we're gonna feed back and whatever. So hopefully it stands out in that way, and in other ways, I'm trying to bring in different vocal things that maybe people haven't heard in the genre.
Do you think that makes it more like your live performances, or at least easier to translate to stage?
100%. And I think that a lot of people see bands and they're like, oh man, this is sick, but it's not always, it's never going to sound exactly like the album. But I do want to convey, because I think we do have a lot of energy live, and I want to convey that any way possible into the recording as well. I would like people to feel hey, we're watching a band, not just listening to a recording,
I like that. So what's a song or two off of Father, Son that's best representative of the album's overall sound?
I would say Homestead, that's one of my favorites, and Tangled Hands. Those are both fairly different, but they're the ones that I tell people to go to first, yeah.
What messages do you hope fans receive or pick up on, either whether it's something deliberately that you kind of put out there, or whether they just sort of grasp it after listening to the whole album?
I haven't thought about that. I'd say, if anything, I hope they take away, kind of thinking for themselves and kind of peace, because the end of the album kind of ends on a good note and ends on more self-reflectively and more retrospectively. So yeah, hopefully can lead more people to that place.
Excellent. You recently released a video for Tangled Hands. Who came up with the treatment for that video?
I did, actually. My friend Josh and I, who I work with, we were kind of throwing around ideas because we needed to get something done on a super short amount of time. We had a week to get it done, and I was like, we just need to come up with a concept, a one-shot video, something that we can do in one night, but still make it cool and kind of interesting. And yeah. And my friend's like, well, what if you're getting chased by a car? And I was like, well, that's the Karma Police video by Radiohead. And then it's like, but what if it was reversed? And I was like, okay. So yeah.
So you got your cardio in that night.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Probably ran at least 3 miles, just up and down a dirt road nonstop. I think it took at least 10 takes. It was nuts.
You thought it was a good idea. You thought it was a simple approach, but So what role do you see music videos having in 2018 when there isn't really a solid platform for it anymore?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think they still have a place because video is the way people consume media now. Like written media is kind of like dying out, and music videos, at least for me, have always been this visual representation of a band. Even album art. I'm a very visual person, and I think at least, some people are the same way. And I want to give people a visual that goes along with the music, something that hopefully gives them more of an experience than just listening to it. Because I know that can drastically change the way I experience what I'm hearing.
I think your album is available across all, major streaming platforms. What role do you see music streaming having as opposed to videos or, sorry kids, tangible CDs? I'm still one of those weird people that like actually buys it because I like to read it, I like to look at it, I like to feel it, but it just...
No, yeah. I think music streaming is kind of the future, and I think that kids will continue to buy, whether it's vinyl, CD, whatever, they'll continue to buy physical copies of bands that they really care about. And growing up, like watching that happen, like growing up in the MySpace age, watching online music kind of explode, it's definitely weird, like making that transition from like buying CDs, burning CDs even, to just like, okay, I'm going to go on Spotify and I can type in anything. Like there's an abundance. Everything is so easily accessible, which is like a double-edged sword, Yeah, it's crazy.
I still like to burn CDs, I'm sorry. I don't like to admit it, but it's true. You guys are currently on tour here with Underoath. What role did Tim have in your final product?
So Tim and I have been working together for the past like year or so, and it just kind of like doing pre-production and everything. I'll record demos or whatever, I'll send them over to him. I'll be like, okay, that's tight, dude. What if you switch the chorus around here, and then what if instead of doing this here, you switch this here or whatever? And he's super busy all the time. He's running like a coffee business, and then he's on tour, and he's got kids. So most of the time it's over the phone. We only spent like 3 days in the studio together over this full-length process. But yeah, it's just us like kind of going back and forth and hashing ideas.
I kind of feel like that's how a lot of people do business. It's sort of interesting that a lot of musicians do things electronically, over the phone, via email now. It's kind of just like music. It's becoming more and more digital.
Yeah.
Coming up after this tour, you're playing 2 of some of the last dates of Warped Tour?
3 of them, actually.
3 of them. Yeah. 3 of them in August. What do you envision it would be like to play some of those last Warped Tour stops, and what role do you see Warped Tour having?
I think it'll be crazy. Warped Tour had an insane role, just like in the scene, in the heavy music, punk, whatever, rock scene, and like growing up and seeing that as a kid, it's like very sad that it's dying out, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes after this. I know they're going to be doing like weekend-only dates and everything like that, but it's going to be sad. It's like the end of an era.
I feel like it's going to be less of like a final point, but more of a transition to something more festival instead. Mm-hmm. Like one or two festivals throughout the year, throughout definitely. The summer. But I don't think Warp's dead just quite yet. I think we still got a little bit more left. What does the rest of 2018 look like for you guys?
Hopefully going to encompass some form of writing over the summer. We've got those shows, nothing else right now. We're kind of like seeing where it takes us.
But you're going to stay busy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, stay tuned for much more from Limbs. This is Jackie. Thanks to Chorus FM and In the Key of Change.